Hello everyone. So this lecture is gonna be very important. Here will be discussing about word vectorization. So what is vectorization? It is the process of converting your text into a vector of real number, which is the format that ML model supports. So anyway, I mean, whatever task you are involved with, you need to vectorize your word, and then only you will be able to work on any machine learning model altogether. So let's first start with the first method, so which is the bag of words. So bag of words is nothing but, so for example, we have the corpus. In that there are multiple documents are there. So first, it involves the tokenization. We first create the tokenization of each and every document. Later on, create the vocabulary. And then for each and every vocabulary, depending on the frequency, like how many times that tokenized word is appearing in entire corpus, we actually assign that value to each and every token. And this is how the vector is created. So vector is created by considering the frequency of a word. Now, I mean, there are already libraries which can, perform this bag of words. So this is like the sklearn is the package in Python which can, perform this bag of word vectorization for you. So you need to import the count vectorizer, which is there in the sklearn.featureextraction.txt. And then this is the corpus I have. So in the corpus, I actually have three documents. As you can see, there are three sentences over here. The one, first, second, and third. So what I am doing is I am first calling the object of the count vectorizer, which is anyway I am fitting to my corpus. If you see here, vectorizer.fit transform. So this will actually, give me the vectorized version of my documents altogether. And since, I mean, although my document is short, but essentially the corpus is, very big with respect to different documents in it. So it's this X matrix is very sparse because, for example, how many vocabulary got created? It's suppose like 20 being created here, 20 different tokens are here. Then accordingly, the vectorizer size of the bag of words would be 20 only. So X dot to array, it essentially, take care of that sparse part and then print it out. So let me just run it for you and see what do I get. So if you see below, yeah, so this is actually it's actually running. Let it run. Yeah, so this is, the vectorizer of first document. If you see what is the length, 1, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 is the length of my vocabulary, and this is how it is being produced. Now, I mean, if you want to see that how this is like 2 is for which token and 10 is for which token. So in the vectorizer, you can actually, print out this thing like vectorizer dot vocabulary dot keys. So vectorizer dot vocabulary is there underscore then dot keys. You can actually print it out. So if you see there are 13 such vocabulary being created and brown, dog, fox, etc. so on and so forth, which is actually, for each of this vocabulary item, we will be creating a frequency kind of thing for each and every document. So in a way, our corpus has been converted to the vectorization, which is the purpose of bag over, right? So now let's just see if I want to see. So let me actually do this for you. Now, as I said, let me do this. So the X returned is very sparse metric. As I said, it's a very sparse metric. So two array convert this sparse metric to a dense numpy array. So we can easily create. So it actually now what we are trying to do, we are trying to see like for what token, what is the frequency for each and every document altogether. So for that, what I am doing is x.toArray. This is my vectorizer, which I have. And then my column names, this is like the get features names out. This is essentially getting the, tokens out of it. So vectorizer dot get features names out. This will give you the column name. Column is basically your token, and then this is your the vectorizer of the corpus that you have that you have obtained after fitting the vectorizer on it. Then you'll be converting it to the data frame. So let me actually print out the data frame for you. What does it look like? Sure. So let's just do it and run it again. So what I am getting is, yeah. So if you see here, so there are this. This is the data frame for ant. In the first document, it's not there, so the frequency is zero, and the for in the first also document, it's not there zero, and for the two, it is one. So this is how it actually, the bag of words being obtained. So it is a good way of representation where I converted each token with the vectorizer with its, frequency value altogether. Now let's me actually look at like this is the tokenization and then looking at the frequency. Now there are other n-gram vectorization or n-gram bag of words. So what is there essentially is, so what is n-grams? N-gram is a continuous sequence of words from a given text. For example, and brown together can be one token. Dog, fox can be one token. This is for the case of bigram. Bigram means we are having a tokens that are having two words clubbed together. Trigram means we are having a token which is having three words combined together, right? So it can capture more context rather than, looking for the single word. So in count vectorizer class only, we have this n-gram n-gram range. This is a variable there, which you can specify 2 into 2. Basically, we are trying to have the bigram count vectorizer. So vectorizer bigram, I renamed it as vectorizer bigram, and that I am fitting it to the my, the corpus. And then I want to show it to as a data frame. This is actually, clear how I am doing to do it. So let me actually now do this for you. So when I run it, so it's like and brown. It's brown fox. So these are like my bigram tokens, and accordingly, what is the frequency of each and every token? This is actually a vectorization technique in my case, right? So I think so far it's clear like what is, all these things like bag of words. Now coming to the term TF-IDF. So TFI, so bag of words, definitely the problem is like it's based on the frequency. So more weightage is given to the more frequent word. Like for example, if and brown is appearing in all the three documents, then there will be a value 111, right? So if you want to do suppose anything, let's suppose you want to build any classifier out of this vectorization. So that is in that scenario, it's not a good approach altogether because it is, weighing more the common words, which is not a good idea. We should, picking out the non-common words out of the tokens, which is, with the bag of words, we cannot do it altogether. So the next method is a term frequency inverse document frequency. So this is a statistical measure. So it actually, evaluate how important a word to a document in a collection of corpus. So this is important. For example, there is a corpus anyway we have, but how important a word to a document. So it's very specific to the document. It's not, dealing with the corpus that was in the case of bag of words. So it weighs the frequency of a word in a document against its frequency in the entire corpus. So that is actually needed. I mean, so frequency of a word in a document against the frequency in the entire corpus. If the entire corpus frequency is higher, then definitely the TF-IDF score would be low, right? So reducing the impacts of common. This is what we want, right? So there are two terms here, term frequency and the inverse document frequency. Now what is term frequency? Term frequency is how frequently a term occurs in a document. This is term frequency. Inverse document frequency is how important a term is based on how common or rare it is across all the document, right? So this is like the inverse document frequency, which tells you about the importance of a token across all the document, and then which is why the inverses. I mean, if it is appearing across all the document, then it's not a good idea to consider that thing in our, further processing in the vectorization thing. And term frequency is basically what is the frequency of that token within the document. So it is actually being computed TF into IFDF. This is how it's being computed. Now, some of the references I presented here that you can go through later because I'll be giving this notebook to you on my GitHub repo. You can take a look. So if I, look at the real example, for example, this is why document one, the cat sat on the mat, dog sat on the log. So this is dog two and this is dog three. Now term frequency of a cat with respect to dog one. So if you see how many times it's actually appearing, the cat, it's appearing term frequency here is 1 by 6. So total 6 tokens. If I consider it to be unigram, then it is appearing one time. So 1 by 6 is my term frequency. Now coming to the IDF, how it is being computed. IDF is basically, log, then number of documents, which is 3, and number of docs containing the cat. So this is the formula. So if you see 1 and only one, right? So only one time it is being appeared. So if you see, this is my this. So term frequency of cat doc1 is basically it's 1 by 6 into this. So it's like 0.183. So cat it important to, doc1, but it appears, if it is appearing in all the document, then it would be lower, reducing the TF-ID. So it's like the cat scores with respect to doc1, TF-IDF score is like 0.183. So it means the cat is important with respect to doc1, right? So now how to, implement it all together. So let me actually go below. Sorry. So if you go here, so again in the sklearn.featureExtraction.text, TF-IDF vectorizer is there. Then this is my corpus. Then I need to, get the vectorizer out of TF-IDF vectorizer. I need to fit transform on the corpus. Here I'll get the vectorizer value. Now let's just, let me actually print out this X with respect to different column. How we can do it? So vectorizer dot get features name out. So let me run it. So once you do that, so it will give you the things like this, right? So, and score with respect to the different documents. Here I am printing brown scores with respect to different documents. It's actually giving you idea what it is. Now, let's just see, I want to see the vocabulary, but anyway, it is, here it's pretty much visible that what is the N brown. So this is my vocabulary. Now I want to see like, I mean, let's suppose, so vectorizer dot vocabulary. This is my vocabulary. This is what it provide me, like the D, quick, brown, fox. It actually, print out the value of, the vocabulary, the token and how many times it got appeared, right? So this is how you can see it, right? Now, TF-IDF for the fox in this, it's actually doing the same thing. So, this actually printed like for the fox, it's like 0.29 is the value for zero document. First document, 0 is the value for the second document, 0.39 is the value for the third document, right? So this is, important and, very useful with respect to the bag of words that we discussed, right? Now let me just go down and look at another method like word to vec. Now, whatever method we discussed so far, like the bag of words of the TF-IDF, right? It creates a high dimension space vector, that is for sure, because it's like creation of vocabulary, and then for each and every token in the vocabulary, we actually provide some value to it corresponding to each and every document. And moreover, they do not capture the context. For example, what is the context of cat with respect to the different tokens within that document altogether, right? So semantics basically completely ignored in TF-IDF and the bag of words. So with the introduction of word to vec is the first method which deals with the semantic things while computing out the vectorization. It's a vector representation of a words said to be contextual aware that I already said. And it's the first time which we are, working with this method that actually, take care of the context, right? So, and also this like word to vec, glove, all those things we'll be looking at in this lecture. It creates a dense representation, dense BA, and it's also the low dimensional vector that is also, take care of the semantic relationship between the word, right? So let me go down. Now, in a brief, what is word to vec? Word to vec is a neural network based algorithm for learning the representation of a word. It was introduced in 2013, right? So it's based on the neural network. It's a statistical method, means it's, But since in neural network, it's very probabilistic kind of thing. So which is why like in Word2Vec is a neural network based method got introduced in 2013. Now what is the algorithm detail if you see here? So there are two things here, continuous bag of words and the skip gram. Two methods are there in the Word2Vec. So in the continuous bag of word, we actually want to predict the target word from its context word. So we have some context and then the target word need to be predicted, right? So for each position in the text, the model takes a context and tries to predict the center one. This is actually the clear. Now the third bullet point is the context word are averaged and fed into the shallow neural network to predict the target. Because in the context word, how many we are considering? Let's suppose in a window, two to the left, two to the right. So what we do, we actually context word embeddings, we sum or the take the average and then fed it to the neural network to actually compute the embedding of the middle, word altogether. So here the loss function is the log negative likelihood, and this is the target work given the context, right? So this is how there is a loss function. It's actually a training happen over here, which actually give you the embeddings of all and each and every token within the corpus. Now skipgram is here, which is the prediction of the context word from the target word. So for each word in the text, the model tries to predict the context word. This is actually the opposite of the continuous bag of word. And the target word is fed into the shallow network to predict its context word, right? So target word embedding is, now fed to the neural network to predict the context word. Here again, the loss function is same, negative log likelihood of the context word given the target word, right? Now, which one is faster? Because it's like we are here dealing with identifying the embeddings of context vector. So this is for sure. CVOWD fastest and it works well on a smaller data set. And it's all if you want to work on the larger data set and for the rare words, then skipgram is better. Right. So as I said, like it's like in both of these methods, there we use a shallow neural network with only one hidden layer. The weights of a hidden layer become the word embedding. Training is typically done using stochastic gradient descent. And we also do the negative sampling and take the softness to speed up the computation. This is like for the training part altogether. But here the thing is like it's a very shallow, it's only one hidden layer. And then, as you said, continuous bag of word and the skipgram, whichever you want, you can see what is working best on your data. These are some of the references which you can, refer like for if you want to understand the Word2Vec. Understood? So this is the first method which deals with actually getting the embedding with respect to the context altogether. Now let me actually give you the demo of this Word2Vec. Now let's understand this. So first of all, if I see here, now Gensim is a library in Python with in which you can consider taking the Word2Vec and other models which take care of the context thing altogether. Now let's just look at from gensim.models. What I'm doing is I'm importing the Word2Vec and the keyed vector. These are the two packages which I need to install here. Then NLTK again is for the pre-processing that we discussed in previous lecture. Then I'll be showing you some demos of visualization and everything for which I consider this matplotlib. And then in the sklearn decomposition, I'll be looking at the PCA, which is again I want to show it because let's suppose if you are getting the embedding, right? If you are having the embedding which is of higher dimension, and if you want to show it to any see it to in any lower dimension, then in that case the PCA is the thing like that you need, to visualize your embeddings altogether. Now going down, what I'm doing is NLTK.down. This is for the tokenization. I am downloading my tokenization here. Now I have some corpus here, which is nothing but the list. And then in each and every index, I have basically different, different my documents altogether. Now what I am doing is I am here creating a function like for each sentence or the document in the corpus. NLTK dot word tokenize, and then first I am actually lowering it and then tokenizing it, and this is my the tokenized corpus. So in Word2Vec, you need to consider the tokenized corpus, and these tokenized corpus you need to enter in one of the parameter of Word2Vec model. So in Gensim by default is the continuous bag of what is the by default model, which is seems reasonable because anyway the I mean it's also easy to understand that looking at some window we are trying to get the context of a target word. So by default in Gensim, CBOW is the default method, which is like SG equal to 0. This is by default. If you don't specify it, then it will be looking at CBOW method only. Now, what is the vector size? What that I want, that I need to choose here. What is my window size? What is the minimum count? How many CPU, I want to consider cores while, training this. What is my seed? So all those things being mentioned here. So then what I did, so this is the model, which actually got saved, CBOWO model, right? Then let me actually print it, right? So CBOW dot. So how I can, so this is my like, okay. So this is actually what I am doing is, whatever my, so I was showing like how I can save it, right? So this is how I can save it. So if you go here, you will find it to be here. So Word2Vec, so this is the CBOW model. So in that my model is there. Now I am saving it using Word2Vec with the name of Word2Vec COW model, and then I am loading it. So this is nothing but how to save it and load it, because you are not gonna do training again and again on your corpus. And then once you have the model, right, CBOW model loaded, what how you can get the vector, for example, so the dot WV, and then in the bracket, square bracket, you need to provide the token on which you want to get your the vector. So if I see here, and fox, for the fox I am trying to print the vector. If I go down, so this is how it looks like. See, let me go little up. Yeah, so here this is the vectorization. So CBOW vector for the fog, this is how it is. And if you see here, you get negative, positive, all those things because it's based on the neural network altogether. So this is how it is, right? Now, if you want to, let's suppose you want to see how the skipgram works. So in the skipgram, as I said, SG equal to 1, rest other things are common. And then similarly, you can print it like dot WV. And then if you go below, so WE, this is a vectorization of Fox using the skipgram method. And if you compare both the two, then you'll see that there are some differences, not much, but you can see that some differences are there with respect to CBOW and the skipgram. Although both the methods are same, it's basically, the algorithmic wise might be different, but the final intent is to get the embedding of the context type embedding of the words, right? Now let me show you what I do want to show you. So it's suppose most similar, I want to print like dot w dot most similar. So whatever corpus I consider, I want to see out of all the tokens which are there, which is most similar to the fox. So if I do this like this, so most similar to the fox seem to be dogs, over quickly, although not good. I mean, if you see, the training has not happened in a good manner, but this is how you can print it. It will give you the list of tuples, which will actually show that fox is common to dogs with the square, or with the similarity of 0.13, so and so on and so forth. And this is the way with which you can print out which is common to your word, right? Now let me actually show how I can, so this is like the method CBOW and the skipgram method, and how you can print the most similar word corresponding to the given word, how you can print the vector of the fox or the any word, right? Now let's just look at how I can print the CBOW, basically the vectorization, because it's like 50 dimension. I consider it to be in while training. Now how I can, print it on the chart that I showed. Let me actually show that how I am doing it here. So this is the corpus, entire corpus tokens which are here. And now what I did is using the PCA for each and every word, I printed in the two-dimensional space, which actually, you can also see clearly here, like fox nearest to word. So this is a 2D representation of the embeddings, which can be seen using this plot altogether, right? So I want to show you that how you can do it. So let me actually go above. So in my model, whatever model I have, this is my vectorization. And there is an index to key. Index to key. This actually gives you all the words which are there in the model. I am actually creating a list of it. And then for each and every words, one by one, I am creating a vectors. So this is my word and this is my word vector, right? Now what I am doing is I am considering the PCA. So PCA is the thing to visualize in the lower dimensions. So it is actually a part of sklearn only dot decomposition, and then you need to import the PCA. So if you do that, then go below. If you see here, I am actually calling the PCA, creating an object of a PCA with number of components true, as I want to show the vectors in the two-dimensional space. Now what I'm doing is I am fitting it to my word vector. This is clear, right? And then this is the result. Now again, this is one of the figure I am taking it. Then I want to see some scatter plot, scatter plot, and then I am enumerating for each and every words which are there in my list, and then I am actually annotating my word and putting it into the two-dimensional space, and then giving the title and then showing it. Right, so this is how you can do it. So first what you did, you actually consider out the words and then the vectors. Then you call the PCA, you fit it to your word vector, and then these are the particular specific to the matplotlib libraries altogether. Similarly, the same thing you can do for skipgram. I'll skip this. You can take a look in my notebook that I'll be giving in the link below. Now go down. Right, so this is how you can do it. Now, also what I did here is, let me actually show both the plots to you first. So let's just consider one like fox. And more or less, if you see, it's like similar thing, not much difference, right? So, fox, royal animal jumps. So it seems to be more or less, fox near the loyal with the CBOW, and then it's like fox lower D. So, I mean, yeah, since it was a small corpus, so more or less the results has come out to be the similar. Right. So this is all about the what to vec. We understood how we can, do the training, how we can visualize it, see the words embedding, all those things using the model that we train, how we can save it, how we can load it. Right. Now let's just look at the another method, which is, the global vector for word vectorization. Now what is GLOVE? Why we want to shift to GLOVE once we have the what to vec already available with us. So let me actually show it to you. So it is also based on creating the contextualized word embedding. But what to work is a window-based method. We need to mention the window size even in the training. And it's actually realized on the local information for generating the word embedding. That is true. Which in turn limited to the window size. That is again true. So Glove actually captures both the global and the local statistics in order to come up with the word embedding. So as you can see, global vector for word representation. It's just not the local. We are considering the global also while forming the word vectorization. So it is an unsupervised learning for obtaining the vector representation. It was developed by Stanford in 2014. Means just after the word to vec in the next year. It is being developed by the Stanford. So if you see with respect to the glove, right? So gloves it's actually based on the concurrence matter. Here we are not, training any model or any, any neural network model, anything like it here. So here we actually form the concurrence matrix. So for each every word pair, it counts how often words appear to the context of a word. So this is like, statistical method. Like we need to compute, like for example, these are the two tokens, how many times they are, appearing together in the entire corpus, something like it. We need to build it. So there are some libraries already with which you can build this matrices. And then the model learns word vectors such as the dot product of two word vector approximate the logarithm or probability of their concurrences. So this is how actually it is being computed. Sorry. Yeah. So if you go, right. So here the objective function is not about the negative log slightly. Here we have the weighted least square error. And it's a count based method, unlike the predictive model that I said, right? It's a count based method. And then it's like we need to use some weighted least squares across all the elements in the matrix. And then later on, let me actually show you how does it work. So it's like already glove embeddings. I mean, it's just a count based method that you need to, deal with. So there is like, if you go to this Stanford, they already, provided you some of the already trained, sorry, glove embeddings for the things. So what I am doing is I am actually first importing my request libraries on this URL. I am, want to get request dot get URL. I want to get my embeddings. Once I get that, so I am actually extracting it out, and then Z is this variable is actually having my embeddings altogether, right? So go below if I see. So what I did is here I am not training because it's not about training. It's about only, uh, actually considering the counts and then, doing some weighted least square and then getting the output. So what I did is I actually considered the globe embedding which are already there in Stanford path, and then accordingly, and then I can what I am doing is I am actually computing the globe vectors for my tokens. Now how to get the globe vectors for my tokens? So globe vectors, how I actually computed it. Let's suppose I am creating it to be like some dictionary. Now this is the file, this is my file which I actually, downloaded from the Stanford. For each and every line, I am actually, for each and every word which are there in my list, I am actually creating a vector. And then this is how I am obtaining it. So globvectors.fox. So in that file, I am obtaining the vectors for fox and dogs, and then accordingly printing the cosine similarity between the fox and dog. So if you look at below, so cosine similarity came out to be 0.42. So most similar to dog. Now let's suppose if I want to see what is the most similar to dogs, just like the same thing where that we did in Word2Vec. So again, what I am doing is I am actually printing out. This is again the most similar function which I created here, which is the vectors of my word. I am obtaining it to be the word vec, and then correspondingly this is actually giving me the most similar thing, and also their corresponding embedding. So if you go below, so most similar to dog is cat, dogs, and all those things. This is how it's coming. Now again, this is similar. I'll be providing the link so you can go through it, how to visualize it using the PCA. Now again, the same thing here. What I am doing is, so this is how it looks like. Now this is better because if you see, like, fox is not very much similar to loyal, friendly. So there is pretty much good difference. King, man, although man is closer to, woman. So this is in a way better method compared to the glove thing, right? Okay, so I think this is pretty much about the glove. So here I considered the, you know, sorry, the glove embedding already available at the Stanford site and used it for further analysis. So you can use the code and apply it on the corpus that I created and, obtain your glove embeddings altogether. Now, the last method which we'll be discussing today is the Doc2Vec. Doc2Vec is the extension of Word2Vec for learning the representation for the entire text. I mean, here we do not want to deal on simple word. We want to get the vectors of entire doc. It was introduced by 2014 only. And if you go below, there are two methods of Doc2Vec, distributed memory and distributed bag of words. Two things here. So this is again the same. Distributed memory is corresponding to the continuous bag of word. Basically predict a target word using the context word. And distributed bag of words is nothing but the similar to the skip gram. Predict the words in the document using only the document ID. So there, of course, I mean the document ID will definitely be there because it's like the document embedding. So predict a tiger word using both context word and the unique document ID anyway will be provided. Now in distributed bag of words, we want to predict the words in a document using only the document ID, not we are, uh, ignoring the context. So we want to predict words in a document using the document ID because here we do not dealing with the target word or anything. It's the document based. So this is how it goes. The loss function is again negative loss likelihood. And yeah, so let's just now look at the demo. These are some of the references which you can go through. Now in gensim.models, there is a doc2vec already there. In that you can, import doc2vec. And this is my NLTK. So here I'm, importing the tokenization. Now what I did here is, again, it's like similar to Word2Vec only. Here I'm training the vector size with window. What is the window I want to consider? And then all those things. Epochs, how many times you want to train it all together. And then if you see below, so vector for the, it actually provided you the vectors of the first doc. It's not a word base. It's a uh, you know, sentence by sentence. So this is how you have produced the first document embedding using whatever model you trained, and then .dv is the thing, and 0 is the document ID which you need to provide here, and then accordingly it will get printed, and then .dv dot most similar to the 0, it will provide you the similarity between different documents and their scores, right? So this is the example of distributed memory, right? By default, it's a distributed memory. And let's suppose if you want to, so this is the thing now. I mean, it's similar again. So dm equal to 1 is basically for the distributed memory, and dm equal to 0 is for the distributed bag of words. uh, Example. And what I did below is I actually, the same thing, visualization, and then, printing out the vectors for both the methods altogether. So if you see below, yeah, so just go below, you will find that. So vector for the first document, most similars, all those things I have done using both the methods. And I visualized these embedding using the PCA. So this is how it looks like, right? So this is again a neural network based approach for training, but here not on the word level, but on the sentence level. Yeah, so thank you.